Hey everybody, it's now Saturday evening, and if you're watching in order and following along, you'll know that I lost my final pea puffer that was in this tank yesterday, and this morning I said I was going to go out and hit up the pet store where I got them before. It's a fairly good pet store. They're limited in size, but they make up for it by having a pretty good variety of some interesting fish. So I went up there, not committed to anything, certainly not committed to getting more puffers. I didn't know whether or not it was going to, what's the sense of bringing more puffers home if they're just going to die when I bring them home. So I looked around and I looked around and I came across these fish that I've never seen before, and they're really cool looking. I don't know if you've spotted them by now, but I got a little group of 4 of them right there. These are 5-lined barbs. So I don't know if all 4 of them are going to outgrow this 10-gallon tank eventually. I don't think so. I think they're going to stay, about skirt tetra size. But we'll see. If they do get too big for this tank, we can always move them later. In the meantime, I think they look fantastic in here. Now, their colors have not really come back yet. When they were in the store, they had really bright orange fins that were sort of surrounded by a black tracery. And they were even telling me that their colors weren't, fully there because they were stressed from being in the fish tank, in the store. And once their colors came back, you'd really be able to see the 5 lines, which is what gives them their name. So I'm not sure what they're talking about with them. I've never seen the 5 lines on them. But I saw their fins nice and bright orange in the store, and they were really cool looking. They immediately caught my attention. So I had kind of put the little puffers on the back burner. I'd looked at them in their tank, and they're just so cute and adorable. I just didn't have the heart to bring any more home, knowing that they probably are not going to do well in my water. These are barbs. They're, in theory, pretty hardy, so I shouldn't have any issues with them. And again, they're just really, really cool looking barbs. They had these and checkerboard barbs in the same tank. And the checkerboard barbs were pretty cool looking, but these just stole the show for me. So I walked around the store, and I did see some other fish that were... there was a pretty good deal on them. It was 4 for $12, and that was unusually low priced if I bought all 4. If I'd have bought 1 or 2, I would have paid almost $5 a piece for them. So the 4 for $12 was a pretty good deal. Now, they're downstairs. I'm not going to talk about them just yet, but I put 2 in one tank and 2 in another, and that'll be something we can get to in the fairly near future. I also wanted to point out that I didn't put these in quarantine. As you can see, I put them right in the tank. Part of that has to do with the stock that's already in this tank. It's a little bit of neons and a few guppies, so I'm not overly concerned about it. I'm also not overly concerned about what I may bring home from a fish store. In all the years I've been keeping fish, the only thing I've ever brought home from the fish store has been ick. I've never brought home some parasite that's wiped out a tank. I know that's possible. I know it happens. But the chances of it happening, compared to the hundreds and hundreds of fish I've brought home over the years, it still hasn't happened yet. So I'm willing to throw the dice occasionally and just put fish right in a tank, depending on the tank. A tank like this where it's minimal loss if something did go wrong. I'm not going to do this in my Black Ghost Knifefish tank or where my gouramis are or something like that. But a tank like this, I'm not too concerned about it, so I'm just going to sort of treat the whole tank as though it's a quarantine tank. And the other aspect is the store I got these from. I did not get these from a big chain pet store that gets a new batch in every few days. These came from a good pet store. I talked to the employee about them. They've been in the tank for several weeks now. They haven't had any new fish coming in and cycling through, so these are the existing ones that have been in the tank. There was about 6 or 7 left. So these are probably not the choicest of specimens, being that they were towards the last few that were in the tank, and I don't think they particularly grabbed me any specific ones. They just grabbed the first 4 that they could get, and that's what we got. But it's a good store, and they've been in there for a fair amount of time. If there were going to be any outbreaks of ick or whatever from them arriving in the store, that would have happened by now. The only other option would have been if they picked up something while they were in the store, and then I brought that home. And again, the likelihood of that being the case is so small, I'm simply not going to worry about it. It's a very low-risk gamble in this case, because if everything goes south, again, what am I going to lose? A few neons and some guppies. I'm not going to, worry too much about that and set up a 3rd quarantine tank in the basement and get that cycled in and, all for this. I'm not that worried about it. And in fact, I didn't put the fish in the basement in quarantine either. I put them directly in two of my good tanks. One went into my T-bar tank, or two went into my T-bar tank, and two went into my gourami tank. So I'm fairly confident that I did not bring home anything terrible or dangerous or treacherous. The last point I want to make about this tank is I still have the rubber lip or the clown pleco in quarantine in the basement. I'm not sure which is which anymore. And I think I also might have another one of those high fins. I noticed that I have two rubber lip type, pleco type fish in one of my quarantine tanks that I thought I only had one. So I'm not sure what the second one actually is. I might have another one of those weird high fins. I might have another clown in there. But if I do wind up putting one of those plecos in this tank and it winds up being too big, again, I can always pull it out later and do something else with it, so it's no biggie. But I am going to be putting an algae eating or an all flux grazing type fish in this tank fairly soon. I want to let these little barbs settle in for a day or two. I just did a water change today. I'm not going to worry about trimming the plants just yet. And in a few days, we're going to get one of those rubber lips in there, and then I'll begin shooting clips for like a time lapse type thing. We'll watch over the course of the next month and see how effectively a rubber lip gets in there, and you can see the glass, and you can see how sort of grungy some of the faux rock work in there is, and the back is a little bit dirty. So we'll get a rubber lip or similar in there, and you'll be amazed at how clean this tank gets and how quickly a tank this small will get clean. Within weeks, it'll be a nice sparkling shiny tank again. So there you go, everybody. There's my new additions on a Saturday night. Really cool looking little fish. I'm really excited about them, and I can't wait to see their colors come in. I also removed the big fat female pregnant guppy out of this tank, and I took her downstairs and put her in my 29 miscellaneous. So as she drops babies, then there will be no lack of good fish food for my angelfish and that sort of thing. So she's in a new home. She's got more room to swim, and she will not be constantly harassed by the little male endlers that are in this tank. And the fish in my 29 gallon will get a little bit of free high quality fish food from time to time. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you're subscribed. From now on, I'm just going to start calling this one my office tank rather than my pea puffer or whatever. I'm not going to keep changing the name of it every time I get new fish. So this is my office tank. Thanks again for watching it. See you real soon in the next one.